So tonight, for our icebreaker question, I believe is what we're calling it, the icebreaker question. We're not sponsored by Icebreaker Gum, by the way, but we're going to go ahead
but
and
if they would like to sponsor us.
That's true. Like, we could be sponsored if they wanted to. Like, I have no problem taking their money, but we're going, for now, until we come up with their name, it's just going to be the icebreaker. The icebreaker question. Today for you, since it's my my podcast episode hosting, I'm going to propose the question. We'll try and phrase this one just right because, well, I want to phrase it just right.
Okay.
So, would you rather always be late, but have the perfect excuse, completely plausible and never questioned every single time, or be on time everywhere you go, no matter how little time is left when you leave, but you can never just walk, jog, or run anywhere? You can never just jog, walk, or run anywhere, be it down the street or across the room. You always have to Tom Cruise run everywhere. So that is the would you rather question I have for you today.
Okay.
We'll get to that at the end.
What's a Tom Cruise run?
You don't know the Tom Cruise run?
Well, I guess I get it.
Yeah. I mean, think more like his most recent films when they show him running.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of a thing that evolved over time.
Yeah, it did. Because I actually, for this question, I went in and I looked up the Tom Cruise run evolution, and there's like a few videos out there, and they'll show like early Tom Cruise and then like progression, and it's right around the Mission Impossible time, like within like a movie here, that it really comes into it, and you see like
he perfected it.
Yeah, like I think the scene. Well, we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Your local video store card.
A comic book in your back pocket.
Games with no tutorials.
Music you had to discover.
And drinking water straight from the hose.
These are the things us millennials remember fondly. We are the Jennings brothers.
Join us after the streetlights come on
as we race our bikes from the top of the hill
right down memory lane.
Exchange those quarters, because this podcast takes tokens.
Morning, audience. Your mission, listener, should you choose to accept it, is to join us today as we discuss the movie Mission Impossible, based on the television of the same name that ran on CBS Network from 1966 to 1973 and returning for 3 more seasons in 1988. This movie was released on May 22nd, 1996, starring Tom Cruise, Jon Voight, with a budget of $80 million, grossing $457 million worldwide. As always, should you or any of the other listeners be caught listening to the podcast, we request that you like, share, and subscribe across all platforms. This podcast will be self-published in 10 days. Good luck. And with that, Mission Impossible.
Mission Impossible.
That's right.
I like that intro. It was pretty creative. Yeah.
I thought I'd have a little fun.
However, this podcast will not self-destruct.
That's right. No worry for that. No self-destructing. No. As long as you get your, likes and shares in and everything, we promise no self-destruction here.
Yes. Yeah.
So, how did you get to rewatch the movie?
Oh my gosh, I rewatched it. I loved it. It had been a long time since I'd seen it. Like when I was a kid and it came out, like I remember liking a lot, and I had it on VHS and I would watch it. But rewatching it now at 37, I understood the plot
a lot
better.
More. Yeah.
Yes.
Pick up on things.
And this is a
layered,
phenomenal movie. Yes. I love this movie.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm so glad we're off the the mask dump train, and we're back on track with a movie that I am just loving. So, do you like it?
Yes. I enjoyed this movie thoroughly, like you. This is a movie that, I think I watched it. This came out in 96. So the first time I watched it was probably 97, 98, somewhere in there. I wasn't, whenever it first came out, but it was probably in high school, early high school at some point. And I enjoyed it then. I too had the VHS and DVD and a poster on my wall. Digital now, I own it. But yeah, I enjoyed this one. I've watched this one fairly, I don't say regularly, but a lot. I've watched it a lot. I've seen it. This is one of those movies that I had on VHS and would watch in the background while doing other things. Playing games or hanging out with friends or whatever. We put on the movie and we just hang out and chat, and then it's on, and then everybody will stop and watch like certain scenes, and or have like a big discussion around it. Those were always fun times, and this was a great movie for that, generating a lot of discussion. Just seeing different things in it every time you watch it too. This movie is so layered. But yeah. There's a lot to it, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed rewatching it. I have seen this movie more recently. I've watched it, I want to say on average probably once a year, if not every other year. This one I see pretty frequently. Maybe not the entire thing every time. There's some times where it'll just be on and already to a certain point, maybe like half an hour in, and I'll just start watching it from there, like on cable or something like that. But this one I watched a lot, and I've really been enjoying the them coming back and doing more of them as they've been going.
Oh yeah.
I just haven't gotten around to seeing the latest one, but this one really makes me want to watch it. And we have a trip coming up where I'm going to be spending a few hours on a plane. So I fully plan to download the newest one and watch it on that plane ride.
This is one of those movie series, franchises, whatever, that I feel like is pretty consistent with every entry.
Yes. Even the second and the third one I enjoyed.
Yeah. They were enjoyable. Yeah. They I feel like they're they get more action packed as the series goes on. Like this first one's very much like there's action in it, clearly, but it's very much there's a lot of like espionage and just really spy stuff.
Yeah.
And it's great. But the other ones are great too.
Yes.
Like I don't think I've watched a single Mission Impossible movie that I've just been bored with.
No, yeah.
And I'm like you, I haven't seen the newest one yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're all good. Yeah. I thoroughly enjoy them.
I do too. I think I've watched all of them at least a couple times each. But yeah, this first one really like, as far as like movie franchises go, it is a great starting point. And watching through all of them, you can see this evolution of the character and the story and everything like that. And then even to think that this came from a television show 30 years before. And, I'm not familiar with the television show at all. And I really, as much as I enjoyed the movies, I have no desire to go back and watch the television show at all. But I do think I'm going to pull up maybe a 30-minute, 45-minute recap of it and kind of get some backstory on it. Because I'm curious if the movies are based on the same characters, because I know that Mr. Phelps, Jim Phelps, is the main character in the TV show. From just
is that right?
Yep, from just looking it up for this podcast here, I saw that. So I gotta wonder, is that the same Jim Phelps that we see in this movie, or is this like a different Jim Phelps and they just use the same name because throwback fan or whatever. Service. Fan service. Yeah. So I would be curious to know that, and I do plan to go back and kind of watch a little recap on the show and get a little insight that way. But as far as going back and watching the whole thing, probably not. Probably not going to happen.
Yeah. You know, I loved the intro. The theme song, and it showed you clips like of what's going to happen in the movie, but it's without giving anything away.
But no context.
Like you would see each character, with no context, you would see each character, and you've got that fuse that's burning, and then the da-da, and it just blows. It's so good, and the whole first 30 minutes of this movie is just like you are glued to like what is going on.
Yes.
It is so good. I couldn't get over it as I'm watching. I'm like, gosh, just the way they're setting the team up, and they've got Emilio Estevez in this movie, and it's awesome.
Emilio Estevez in this movie trying to break out of that Brat Pack persona.
Yes.
So this is a good turn for him for sure.
Yeah. It's it's so good, and it just builds everything up to what the movie is, and Ethan trying to clear his name and figure out what was going on, and oh my gosh, it's I can't give enough praise to this movie. It was just it is so good.
Now, I'm thinking back on all the other movies, and after you said it there, I'm maybe drawing a connection here, and it's been about a year since I've seen any of them other than this new one and maybe the last one or the one before last. But is he always trying to clear his name in every one of these movies? It seems like he's trying to clear his name in every one of these movies. Like he's constantly like in this cycle of like every one of them is like him trying to clear his name for whatever reason. He's trying to outrun him. But maybe that's the general theme of the series. But enjoyed thoroughly for sure. Yeah. So what was probably perhaps your favorite moment of spycraft from the film?
So of like, I was going to say like the gadgets and stuff. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Like,
or just like, the way they like, the mental gymnastics or the mental agility that goes into like figuring things out or, laying traps for their opponents, the chess of it all.
Yeah. I really think it's gotta be the end where, Ethan has figured out what Jim was doing.
Okay.
And that, like you've got that conversation where Jim is trying to, this wasn't right at the end, but where Jim is trying to explain to Ethan after he's, came back and revealed himself.
Yes. In the train
station. And trying
to
tell him that it was, what's that?
In the train station there. Yes.
Yeah. And he's trying to tell him, it was the IMF chief that was, doing all this and had staged everything. And then you're seeing Ethan's perspective or his point of view in his mind. But
what he's saying and what he's thinking aren't lining up, but you can see the wheels turning. Yes. I enjoyed that
and
too.
I love how he sets him up at the end, and he's Jim catches him, after he's had Claire come in and he's dressed up as Jim, and she reveals that she knew Jim was alive this whole time, and then he, and the real Jim comes out after he reveals himself, and I just love where he just like, points at him, points his finger, and he reaches in his pocket and pulls out the glasses, and the IMF chief, I just can't remember his name, but he's like, he looks at his watch.
At the right moment.
Hello, Mr. Phelps. Yes. Yeah. I don't know. I love that, just that whole build up to that. And then everything about that scene, just everything that goes on the train and all that.
That IMF agent, who, I can't think of his name either. But every time he came on the screen or he was speaking, for some reason, I thought of Agent Smith from The Matrix whenever I saw him.
Yeah. He had that very articulate with what he was saying. And
something about that. Kittredge was his name.
Yes. That's it. Yeah.
And so I went back and I looked it up because I was like, was he in The Matrix as like one of the Agent Smith? Because like the first Matrix movie, there were a couple different
agents.
Different Agent Smiths there and everything. So I went back and I looked it up all eagerly and everything like that, and I was disappointed to learn that I don't think he was. But it's fun all the same. That was he just reminded me of that. I thought that was kind of funny. But for me, I just thought like it was a lot of like the little stuff that they did. Like whenever Ethan first goes back to the hotel room and he unscrews a couple of light bulbs to make it dark, and then takes one of them and wraps it up in the jacket and crushes it and then sprinkles it around so you can hear if somebody's walking up. That was fantastic. That was just so smart. It was so smart.
Yeah, it was. Like you're watching that and you're like, this is like, it's completely believable that he's been trained, to do all this. And
he just goes on like high alert.
Yes. And that's the thing. There's so many
little things.
Just little details in this movie that just make it what it is. It's perfect. It is an almost perfect movie in my mind.
Almost. And then like
almost
even like the technology they used for the time was very I would say, I mean, other than like the bodysuit and mask and voice modulation to make you look like somebody else. I mean, it looked good on screen, but it didn't. That's not, it's not practical. Outside of things like that, I think a few things like that, it was very, I'd say, practical or believable as a something that could actually be. The watch with the little screen on it. The self-destructing tapes, even everything was very believable, plausible as a spycraft technology that one would use in spycraft. I don't think the resolution on the screen on his wristwatch would have been necessarily that great, but who knows what they had in development at CIA at the time.
Maybe that's our current watches are, just
like 10 generations
just the leftovers
behind.
Of what they used back in the early 90s.
That's right. So I found a couple things a little odd, or not odd, but I have a couple of nitpicks that I'm going to get into.
Sure.
So whenever they were the first off, this is mid-90s. This is 1996. And they do mid-90s internet about what you'd expect. Like every mid-90s show, this is what the internet looked like. I'm using air quotes here. Looked like to them. It is not what the internet looked like back then. But I just find it laughable that they always like over-exaggerated internet and like in Hackers, like everything was just so like exaggerated and like crazy, and it was kind of the same way here. Like, first of all, how many of these websites for Book of Job are there out there on the 1996's internet?
Right.
And to go on one and then just open an email box and just start randomly emailing Job at bookofjob.com or whatever the website happened to be, and hope to like stumble across this one person. Was that part was very thinly stretched to me. But the one part that took it a little further on the internet tangent for me was the very first thing he did when he opened the laptop and started searching the web was he went to Max.com to search for the arms dealer. It was, if he would have gone to armsdealer.com, that might have been better, I think, in my opinion, than just searching Max.com. Although maybe, I mean, like, I feel like HBO might be missing something here by not having the Mission Impossible movies on Max.com. I mean, that could be a good tie-in for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like little things like the thing, the mid '90s internet thing that always bugs me, but I can let that kind of stuff slide. Why did Jim have glasses on with the video things in them in the very first scene? That scene where the mission goes haywire, and he goes out and he gets quote unquote killed. He's wearing the glasses with the little video cameras in it, but he's just supposed to be there at the home center or whatever, the base of operations, monitoring everything. So why was he wearing video glasses?
Well, now that's a good question. I don't know why he's wearing them. I mean, so you were asking why is he wearing them, or why was he wearing them and on the bridge?
No, why was he wearing them in general? Because while he was on the bridge, he left because everything went crazy. But if things go according to plan, he's going to stay there and everybody's going to come back to him. But he's got on the glasses from the start. Right. It's almost it's just a little too well planned out as far as like a scheme goes. And then when he's wearing the glasses and he's on the bridge and he goes and he shoots at himself, even in like the split second that Ethan Hunt looks at his watch, you can see his arm curved around.
Doing this.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, I didn't catch it the first time I watched it. I didn't even catch it after I knew, but like I caught it eventually. I was like, oh yeah, that's like super obvious. And if you're a spy versed in picking up on every little thing, aren't you going to notice something like that right off the bat? But I mean, he did have to kind of think back on things as the movie progressed and put two and two together and all this other stuff. And I suppose you're not thinking like your mentor is the one that's going to betray you in this certain situation, right? Or whatever.
And like all this other stuff, like everybody else is dead. Like he's the last one I think that he sees that dies. So he's just like
reeling.
What is going on? Like, how did this happen? But that like there was a couple things in that scene, I guess, that is good as much as I enjoyed it, that I did kind of nitpick with. One was, so they've got these masks and everything, like in the very beginning scene, Claire is pretending that she's dead and they're interrogating that guy in that room. When he pulls the mask off, we've got Ethan Hunt. But like the mask looks like somebody completely different, right?
Yeah.
But then when he's playing the senator, like he looks like
old man Tom Cruise.
It's Tom Cruise. Yeah. And even so, like when the real quote unquote real senator is on TV, because you see that interview like on TV with the senator, it's still Tom Cruise. Just in that. And I thought that didn't look great. They should have had a different actor play that, and then just have him pull the mask off.
But I feel like because he spent so much time in that mask during that scene, and B, it was probably in his contract that he does this. He does one other part, like Nutty Professor style, and gets to kind of flex that actor muscle and show off some range. I'm willing to bet it was in his contract for the purposes of showing off some range, and so that he can have a little more face time with the camera as quote unquote Tom Cruise, in that scene, and not be somebody else. Like, because if somebody else, if it was somebody else's face, then it would have to be a different actor in that scene and not Tom Cruise. Which I'm willing to bet it's a contractual thing that got us there.
That would make sense with it, because that's the only thing that could make sense with it. Because otherwise, why wouldn't they just have somebody else? But
totally.
But then the other thing,
it's like it's Tom Cruise, and nobody notices.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Yeah. There's no question about it. The other thing was when what was Emilio Estevez's character name? I can't remember. But when he is on top of the elevator, and Jim, has it shoot up. And it kills him. Like, there's a little bit of time there where it's moving slowly. And I'm thinking, like, why can't he just get off and go onto the side like he did when he got up on there? Or when he comes to the top, those bars come down, but there's like 3 feet of space in between those bars. Just kind of roll.
And
you know?
What are those bars? Like they're like spikes too. Like, and they come down very aggressive. Like, what elevator has these spikes to catch a runaway elevator that's going too fast to the top? I don't know. I don't get it.
Yep.
So that was my thing. And then somebody's going to go and investigate that and then be like, why were there spikes at the top of this elevator? This was definitely deliberate.
Yeah, exactly. And then what was her name? It wasn't Claire. It wasn't Hannah. It was the brunette that, anyway, she's tailing
Sarah.
The guy that's supposed to, Sarah. She's supposed to have the disc, or the guy she's tailing is supposed to have the disc. And she goes up to the fence, and that guy's being stabbed.
Yes.
Right? By Leon the professional. And I can't remember what his name was in the movie. But, and the next thing you know, Tom Cruise goes up there and he sees her against the fence. She was dumb enough to walk up to that fence for him to stab her.
Within reaching, to reach out to her.
Within reaching distance. And I'm like, come on.
That one was definitely, that's the very first thing that I ever picked up on this movie where I was like, why did she get so close? Like, you step back like one step and he's reaching, he can't reach you. He can't use arm's length. That's the best case he can do is arm's length.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. That was, those deaths were a little ridiculous upon a rewatch, but I mean, I suppose like you gotta kind of like go with it.
Yeah. Maybe. I mean, Hannah's kind of made sense. Like they blow up the car. I'm like, okay,
that was
that's fine.
Pretty clean. That was no complaints. But yeah, like the other ones. I mean, maybe she got close because she was trying to get the disc back. Like he was like a cat with a toy. He's like, here it is. Come get it. Come get it. And she was like reaching for it, and then he grabbed her or something like that. Or I don't know. That's the only.
She's a trained spy. Like you think she's gonna be like. I don't think so.
Yep. Or, I'm going to
study your face.
A weapon on her. That's something. She's got to have something. No? Okay. Yeah. I agree. Those were very, the elevator one always kind of bothered me. I was always like, but I guess if you're murdering somebody, you're not trying to hide it. The way that you do it isn't really, as long as the job gets done type of thing, right?
Yeah, it didn't make, because he was going to go pretend he was dead anyway, so it didn't make any difference.
But all those, I'm going to harp on it one more time. All those spikes that came down, there were large gaps. It was just like 2 rows of spikes.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so there's big gaps between them. Yeah, you keep between them.
And it's like over, like those bars are like 2.5 feet long, so it's like you're gonna have space to, at least sit there sideways.
We've all played that level of Mega Man.
Get out of there.
You just go between the spikes.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess he was thinking too much about his hockey team.
No, that's true.
So
he was worried about the Ducks. He did go back to the Mighty Ducks after that, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
I think they did. Yeah, 1 or 2 more after that, didn't they?
Yeah. Great movies.
So when's Memorial Day? Memorial Day, is that the one in May or is that the one I can never?
That's one in May.
Memorial Day,
Labor Day
is
in September.
I get mixed up all the time.
Yeah.
So Memorial Day. Yeah, I thought so. So this movie came out on May 22nd, which I'm assuming would have been Memorial Day weekend or right before Memorial Day weekend of that year.
Right before. Well, no, whatever. Anyway.
Yeah, it's right around that. It's a Memorial Day movie essentially.
Yeah.
At one point, one guy's reading a newspaper, and it's kind of predominant in the frame. I think it's it was whenever he's on the phone, and it's right before Jim reveals himself to still be alive. He's holding up a newspaper, I think, and on the back of the newspaper, it says like Memorial Day sale, and it's like a sale for something. And I thought, that's very fitting if this came out on Memorial Day. And sure enough, Memorial Day weekend it came out or thereabouts, and a little Easter egg there, I suppose. It's just kind of fit.
Yeah.
I wonder if they had. I'm not familiar with the TV show, so I don't know if they had any of the original cast do cameos for the movie.
I don't know.
I'd be curious. I got to go back and look that one up. I should have prepared better for this one. I'm sorry.
No,
I could have known that coming into that. This is the internet. But, you know, yeah, well.
We had a lot going on this week. So.
Yeah, this is kind of a busy week.
Is that right? Yeah.
So, I guess my last little nitpick.
Mm-hmm.
In the government building, when they're in the air ducts, and is it... What?
Real quick, I was going to say, this is just a classic scene. Like, this is the best scene of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Is this Black Vault heist. Anyway,
yes.
Go on.
So, just my one little nitpick with it is whenever he's holding the rope, we're going to call him Leon because I can't think of Kruger, something like that. I don't know. We're going to call him Leon because I can't remember his name from the movie. And I'm not going to pull up IMDb right now. But so he's sitting there holding the rope, holding up Ethan. And I guess it's kind of two-parter. Why does he have to hold the rope? Why isn't it like they got all this stuff? They don't have like some sort of like silent motorized thing, or at least something that can tie the rope off on to hold him up. But he's holding him up physically. And at the same time, this fat little rat waddles down the air ducts next to him.
Yeah.
I'm not a rat expert, but I imagine they are low-lying creatures and not climbers. They're not much for climbing on things unless there's like a food source that they're getting at, I imagine.
Yeah.
So how in this top secret or, you know, top level classified government building with all this security and everything did a fat rat get in the air ducts? And how has it not set off the alarms before? Like any of those alarms. Like there's lasers everywhere. There's all these different things. But this fat rat comes waddling down and becomes this little problem for them.
Yes.
That one kind of bugged me.
You would think like they would have some sort of pest control in this place too, right? Yeah.
That's who they should have gone in as, is pest control. They got a rat problem apparently.
Yes.
They wouldn't have to set up the fire alarms.
Yes. This scene was so good.
It's
just
fantastic.
From when he's explaining everything on the train to Ving Rhames and to Leon, and then up through the end of it when they're leaving on that fire truck. Which Ving Rhames is great in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
And I think he's in all the other ones, isn't he? Most of the other ones.
I don't think he wasn't in either 2 or 3. I can't remember. I don't think he was in 2. I think 2 was
then
the
he
one
came
that
back
like
for 3.
Yeah, like he tried to kind of what is it? Tom Cruise went off and did that one as like I think the only returning character, and they were trying to make it a franchise centered around him. And then I think the third one they started pulling back some of the characters and making it more of a ensemble franchise. But yeah, he's great in all of them. I've always loved Ving Rhames and everything I've seen, and he's fantastic.
So this whole scene, and they've got the guy that's like working in this thing coming in and out of there, and I'm like, this guy's the real victim of the movie, right? Because he's just working, and somebody makes him like gives him the craps, so he's got to go to the bathroom a whole bunch, and then he gets shipped off to Alaska because they got in. He's not the one that came up with the security on this. It's not his fault that there's security flaws. So then I wondered, like at the end of the movie, where Ethan, gets his name cleared, he's not the mole, this and that. Did they at least have the heart to bring that guy back?
Right.
To Virginia?
That's probably one.
Or is this poor dude just stuck up there?
Yeah. I love that part where at the end the guy's like, I want him manning a satellite in Alaska by the end of the day. Just ship him his clothes.
Ship him his clothes.
Oh, that poor guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was just a fantastic scene. Such tension throughout that scene that even on this rewatch that I've seen it so many times, it was so, I still felt that tension building throughout that scene, and I found myself getting a little tense with it. And like you said, the explanation of it as they go, I love the way they layered that together, and as he's explaining what they're gonna do, it shows them starting to do the things, and then that narration of explaining it starts to kind of peel back or be less, like it starts becoming a little more sparse, whereas like the actual mission itself starts to take over the scene, and you kind of have this nice little transition where they kind of zipper these two things together, and it's just, that's this great storytelling. I love it. I love whenever they do that. But so that was Langley, right, that they broke into, Virginia?
I'm thinking it was like, is the CIA headquarters? Yeah. I'm assuming it's the CIA headquarters that they're doing that, because they've got, all the information on all their spies and everything on that one computer.
That's right.
Everything's on that one computer
that has no internet access because they don't want anything getting in or out. But
so what's our guy doing that works there? Is he just entering names, or is he just going in there and like playing Minesweeper? Like what's he doing? Yeah.
Which in the most uncomfortable looking seat I've ever seen for a computer, I gotta say. He's got to like straddle it and kind of sit in it.
Yes.
It just looked like the most uncomfortable job.
Yeah.
But so that's in Langley. The that opening one that goes bad, or I guess the second scene or whatever that goes bad, is that London where they
No. It is
Paris or France.
No, it wasn't Paris. It was another year. Prague. It was Prague.
Okay.
Yes.
And then they keep going back to that same hotel room or apartment or whatever there in Prague.
Yeah. In Prague.
So they start in Prague, and then they got to go take out this thing, get this information in Langley. And then they got to fly back to Prague. So they fly out to Langley and then fly back to Prague. Are they using aliases? They didn't show that at all. They didn't explain how they got from point A to point B.
It almost made it look like, because Ethan's explaining everything as they're on the train.
Yeah.
So it's like, did they take a train from Prague to Langley?
Yeah.
Like, how's that work?
Yeah. So I was wondering if maybe it was like a CIA headquarters in like London or something, or, maybe over there in Prague or in that area.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But
could be.
Because I couldn't remember if they said it was Langley or not. And I meant to go back and look that up, and I didn't catch whether it was Langley or not.
Yeah.
But
I didn't either.
It was either Langley, and we have some explaining to do on the logistics of it all, or it wasn't Langley, and I just completely missed something and wasted about 5 minutes of everybody's time here on this tangent.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. If you know, leave a comment in this comment section and let us know.
Correct us. We have no problem being corrected.
Please. We're just guys spouting things out up here, and
could be true. Could not be true.
We don't always get it right. Yeah.
So I gotta wonder. Tom Cruise is known for going all in on skills, learning how to fly a helicopter for a movie, learning how to scuba dive, learning how to become a chef, or whatever the role takes. Really going full on for every little detail. Did he learn magic for that scene where he's like,
I bet he did,
hiding the tape?
Because it looked, it looked like it was all the same shot. It didn't look like there was any tricks to it. I bet he did. Yeah.
I wonder how much time he spent learning magic. Is he in the Magic Castle in LA? Is he allowed to go in there now as like a magician?
What do they call that? Like the Magician's Guild, or I don't know. Something like
I can't remember the name of it. It's secretive. It's a castle only for magicians, and only they know about it. So we don't know about it because we're not magicians.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I was wondering, like, he learned magic just for this. I bet he spent a lot of time learning magic just for this. And I wonder if he can still do it. I would like to, if I ever run into Tom Cruise, I'm going to see if he can do a magic trick. That's my goal if I ever meet Tom Cruise. Can he do a magic trick?
Can you make that disc disappear for me again?
Which, that was a great, like, thinking on your toes moment. Like, the Leon presents him with the disc, and he's like, aha, I still got the disc. I have leverage over you.
Yeah.
And he's like, quickly like, oh, you mean this disc? And then just plays that little mind game with him and gets him to give it up.
Yep.
Which, I mean, even if I thought he had the actual disc, I'm not throwing the version that I thought was away right in front of him or leaving it there. I'm taking that with me just in case.
Yep.
And maybe that's a lesson I learned from this movie, but just in case.
Yeah.
Man. But yeah.
So what'd you think about the train scene at the end? Like when they're on top of the train, like clearly, I mean, the wind machine was real, but clearly it was a green screen behind them when they're now. Today's Tom Cruise, I think, would probably do that because he does all his own stunts. Like he would insist on doing that live. But gosh, that whole scene when they're up on top of that train, I thought was just incredible. And when he hooks the chopper onto the onto the train, and
Jim's got that look of, I got to get that off there or whatever. Yeah. And Leon's with the helicopter. And he's like, I got to get off. And he can't pull it off. And he's like, finally, I guess I'm going in the tunnel. And then just takes it down. Yeah. That was great. And if that helicopter were an inch shorter, Tom Cruise would have lost his head.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
He got very lucky right there. That helicopter topped out when it did.
Yes.
Yeah, because any difference in that, I mean, even if he would have just like not even tilted forward more, just moved forward more, it wouldn't take much. He was really close. He almost got him. Almost got him.
Yeah.
But then what's the end game? Like you're still tethered to the back of this
where
train.
Are you gonna go?
Yeah, where are you gonna go?
Yeah.
And how did
they know what's happening?
The second train go past him and not clip that helicopter at all?
Right? Yeah.
Like how much room is in that
tunnel?
Know.
Yeah, I know. It was a massive tunnel.
It's massive.
And I wonder I didn't look it up. I meant to look it up, like how fast those bullet trains go.
Oh, they gotta go like at least 100 miles an hour.
Can a helicopter keep up with that?
Like, I mean, if it's being dragged behind it.
Well, yeah, but at one point it wasn't being dragged behind.
That's true.
Like he was going to grab Jim and which I wondered. I'm like, why did Jim hook himself? Why did they have this whole thing devised for him to hook himself onto the hook, and go? I know it's probably easier. He doesn't have to get as close to the train. Sorry, I've got a mosquito flying around. He didn't have to get as close to the train, but why not just clearly when they're in the tunnel, like Jim jumps onto the problem solved. You're not hooked up to the to the train, and Jim lives to see another day.
That's right.
But we wouldn't have had that.
Then Tom Cruise jumps on it, and he's right there with him, and he does the little bubblegum trip, which we never see that gum used I don't think in any of the other movies. And I feel like that needs to come back. That needs to make a little cameo in one of the future movies. I just want to see the gum. That was a great little device.
When Emilio Estevez is showing him that, going through all the tech and everything, and he shows it to him, he says red and green, stick them together, and you got about 5 seconds. He says, just don't chew it. Yeah. And Tom Cruise kind of like, there's a brief second where he stops and is thinking like, yeah, I probably shouldn't do that, Yeah,
because he was probably thinking, okay, I throw it in my mouth, I chew it a little bit, and then I got an explosive. Yeah. But yeah, don't chew it. Don't chew it. I think it would have been a great scene if they had Tom Cruise captured and one of the bad guys pulls a stick of the gum out of his pocket and is just like, I'm going to take your gum, and like starts chewing the gum and then his head explodes. I'm surprised that wasn't used.
What was Ethan planning to do? So he jumps from the train onto the helicopter.
Yeah.
And the only reason he makes it back is because the explosion blows him back to the train.
There's a lot of faith put in that explosion.
Oh yeah. Like, what was he? Was he just anticipating that, or
I think so.
Was he just expecting to die?
He was just like, yeah, I've either way, I've succeeded in my mission. I've prevented this from happening. Luther will take the football from here and score the last yard or whatever that we need, get it to the right people. But at the very least, I stopped the main threat, and the world can continue on. Of course, the world was threatened 7 more times after this, and he wouldn't have been around for those. Thanks, Ethan. Like, we need you, buddy. Gotta be a little more careful in the future. Stop jumping off of exploding helicopters. But, yeah, I think it was just kind of like a, either way, things are taken care of, and hopefully I make it. But if I don't, we're good. Yeah. I mean, it could have ended up like Jim. You see Jim get squished by the plane before he got taken out.
And he's just holding on. Yeah. And in a ball of fire, like, there's no letting go. It's just like you just see this body hit the
And I don't know if you caught it, but I'm watching it. We paused on it whenever I was much younger, and the expression on his face as his body hits the rails is just fantastic. Mm-hmm. Like, it's comical. Is it really? It's very comical. Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna have to go back and watch that scene again.
So that was we always enjoyed whenever we watched the movie to pause on that point and just laugh at the ridiculousness of the dummies, whatever face they put on the dummy for that part, because I'm sure it was just like a dummy that they strapped to the footing of this thing and slammed down just for that 3 frames of film or whatever they use there, which is just crazy to think about, that they do these sorts of things. Like, how much time and effort was put into those, like, not even a second of film that was shown in that instance. But they spent probably a week setting up and shooting this thing, and then like, no, it didn't look right, we got to do it again, and then they shoot it again. We need it from a different angle, we need a safety now. But I thought that was always funny. I think it's interesting.
I'll have to go back and look at that.
It's interesting how long. So did Ethan have a thing for Claire? Because he held out on faith that she was still good, like all the way up until that last scene. He had to get that proof of pretending to be Jim before he believed that she was in on it. So did he have a thing for her?
I think he did. Like, I kind of felt an underlying tension there. Yeah. The whole movie. And then, Jim spouts off, thou shalt not covet, someone else's wife or whatever. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, you're killing people and everything, but okay. But so that made me wonder, like, was there like some tension before, a little behind the scenes action there? Yeah. And I mean, there's that scene, it cuts away, but when she takes Ethan's hand and starts like kissing it and everything.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
Yeah, that was a little weird. And it makes me wonder if there was more of a romance there and they edited that out for time.
Maybe.
Or something.
Or they were just like, this doesn't make sense for the story. Or I heard rumors that like around this time frame, any romantic storylines that weren't between him and his wife, he had edited out for the most part. How much truth there is to that, I don't know. It's online rumors or whatever, but I mean, he's just wacky enough that I would believe it.
Oh yeah. I like Tom Cruise as an actor. Yes. I like most of the stuff he's been in. He is a wild human being. But his movies are good. Generally, I don't think I've seen many that I didn't like.
I think we can say that about 90% of Hollywood. I like what they've done in movies, but personally, I'm going to keep my distance from them.
like the art.
Yeah. Don't have to love the artist. That's right.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So what did you think of Max? Max was one of my favorite characters. I love she was such a straight shooter,
Yeah,
you know, like
yeah.
you knew what she wanted, and she
may have been a villain, but she was above board about it.
She's a good villain. Yeah,
good villain. Yeah, and not like an evil cartoonish villain either. Like a very good, like well thought out, well-rounded character as far as like villains go. I don't remember if she came back for any of the other movies or not.
I don't know.
I guess she was arrested, so what would she come back as?
Yeah. That's what I like, though. I think a movie excels when it writes its villain, or a movie, comic book, TV show, whatever.
Yeah.
Any entertainment medium, I feel like excels when it makes its villains somewhat likable, where you're like, okay, I can understand their motives. I may not agree with how they're doing it, but and she was somebody that I'm just like, I could totally see it. Like, and I like every scene she's in. I don't just despise this character.
Yeah.
When I'm
coming into like the last season of Breaking Bad. He's the bad guy. He's clearly a bad guy.
Yeah.
But you get it. You understand his motivations. Anyway. Yeah, you get it.
Yeah.
I think it was funny throughout this whole movie how every villain was just backstabbing and turning on even Max Job or whatever, or turning on Ethan at the end, like calls up Job. She's like, oh yeah, he's in the back train car. Go ahead and take care of him. And whenever you're done, whatever, whatever she promised the Job character or Phelps, I suppose.
Jim.
Jim. Yeah. I found that funny. Like even they were just all falling and stumbling over one another to just betray each other. Like they just burning every bridge around them. There is definitely no honor amongst thieves here.
And I was wondering, like, what? So maybe this is one thing I missed, but I still didn't get it when on this rewatch. What was Jim's ultimate goal in all this? Was it money, or like, which that seems pretty shallow?
No,
if that's what it was.
I mean, he kind of explained it as no more hiding in the shadows, no more looking over your shoulder, removing anonymity from spycraft and all this other stuff, as kind of his motivation, which was pretty weak, I will admit. But it gets buried throughout everything else.
It does.
It's kind of like, it's really about Ethan redeeming himself and clearing his own name. The other motivations aren't necessarily as important, but
right. Yeah. That was just one thing that I thought was kind of, it's
weak for sure.
It was weak, and I didn't think they did a great job at explaining that.
No. So do you got any closing thoughts on this show here or movie?
I was, so one thing I thought about, and I made a note of it, and I thought about it when we were watching, or when I was watching, we didn't watch this one together, but the vault scene.
Yeah.
Did you ever play the Nintendo 64 Mission Impossible game?
No, I didn't know there was one.
Yeah, there is one, and you can actually find it for pretty cheap, like $10 or $15 on eBay. I've just been thinking about getting it. I remember going, like, because I would go to Aunt Kathy's. You were living down in Texas, and you would come up and we'd visit her for the summer, or during the summer. But like, I would go over there like once a month. Yeah, like I would go over there all the time, and we would always go over to Video Castle, which, for those that don't know, is a local video store.
That's right,
in town, and we would go over there, and we would rent a couple movies or something. But she would always let me rent a game if I wanted to rent a game. So a couple times, I rented the Mission Impossible game from there. Man, that game was tough as nails. It was so hard. And I remember, I don't know if it was the first mission in the game, or if it was one of those things where, those old games where all the data was saved on the cartridge.
Oh yeah.
You'd go rent a game, and then people's saved data would be on there, so you just kind of play off of where they were at.
Oh yeah,
it. And but I remember playing the vault. The vault level was ridiculously hard. Like there was lasers going everywhere, and you could turn the camera in 3 dimensions and kind of see where all the lasers were at. But they'd be like going in like a square and all this. You'd have to make your way through, and it was tough.
Huh.
And that's about all I remember from the game. But I didn't know if you'd played it or not and had any.
No, I didn't even know there was a game for it.
Yeah.
I think around this because that didn't come out too much later. Nintendo 64. Yeah, I mean, the N64 didn't come out till 97, so this game coming out on the N64 is a little late to the game.
Yeah.
I mean, but development cycles and all that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But,
they did a lot of licensed
yeah
games back then.
Oh yeah, a lot more for sure, and more like directly licensed. Like they were almost it's as if they were trying to make shot for shot remakes as a video game of the movies back then. Specifically like the mid to late 90s. A lot of them were like these, like, we got the technology, let's make it to where you can actually be in the movie as a game. It definitely, that was a thing. And then a lot of times it worked. A lot of times it did not work.
A lot of times it didn't work.
But no, I never played it. I missed out on that one. I'll have to check it out though. It sounds like it'd be hard, but a challenge. I like a good challenge.
Yeah. And maybe if I replayed it today, I wouldn't have a harder time with it. I don't know. I was never great at games back then, but I played and enjoyed them. So
yeah. All right. Well, I think we wrapped up Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
So
next week.
Yeah.
Think about doing Jaws.
Jaws. That sounds like a great summer movie.
Yes. Fantastic summer movie.
Excellent. Looking forward to it.
All right. Well, with that, we've reached another checkpoint, my friends. Remember, sharing is caring, and your reviews help a lot. So yeah, leave us comments, share, review. We'd appreciate everything you can do, and we'll see you next time.
That's right. Next time.
Be kind and rewind. This Podcast Takes Tokens is a Clay Street production.
All right, so we had a question at the beginning of the show, our cold open question, and we're going to get to that. But before we do that, I do have a couple of Spotify comments to bring up and discuss, as well as a couple YouTube comments that we'll bring up and discuss as well. We always like to do that on the show, just kind of shout out to those that are listening and participating in this journey with us. Without further ado, I got a couple Spotifys here. Let's start there. So we asked on our 4th of July episode, what was your go-to firework growing up, and do you still get fireworks every year? We got a reply from Dustin CF.
I think that was right. Yeah.
I''D, I think is what it is. Underscore I''D, maybe L''D.
Okay.
Funked. I don't know. Anyways, Dustin says, I always get firecrackers and Roman candles. That's a good call. That's a good call.
Yeah. I was always scared of Roman candles.
Really?
They would. Oh my gosh.
I just point
even
them
as
up
an
and
adult,
away.
I don't like them.
Yeah, I mean, there's all those people that have Roman candle fights, which is just ridiculous. But
great, you people are just crazy sons of guns.
That's some insanity that I do not want to participate in for sure. But yeah, that's a good call. I mean, for me, it was always the bottle rockets. I did get Roman candles.
Yeah.
We'd always get I think they came in like a 6 or a 12 pack. We'd always get a pack of those and shoot those off. That's kind of like the I don't know, intermission for whenever we were shooting off fireworks was the Roman candles. It was kind of like a little fun thing to do.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, that was fun. That was nice. Fozzie Guy, our resident commenter.
Number one fan, I think.
Yeah, number one fan. We love you, Fozzie Guy. Thanks for always participating. He answers the same question. What was your go-to firework growing up? Do you still get fireworks every year? Growing up, it was firecrackers. Now it's the artillery shells and the 200 and 500 gram cakes. I even have a 50 shot and a 35 shot artillery rack, and I can launch them wirelessly. That is an impressive setup, sir.
Yes.
That is nice. I would come and watch fireworks with you, sir. Sounds like you have it down.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. So firecrackers again. Firecrackers. I always thought firecrackers was kind of a generic term for fireworks, but I suppose firecrackers, they're referring to like your ladyfingers, black cats, the little little sticks.
That's how I take it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, those. Yeah, we always got a lot of those. Growing up.
Yeah.
Couple of those like 1,000 packers. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Set that off and they just go and go and go.
Yeah.
Because those black cats, they had just like the fuse was like tissue paper.
Yeah.
It's just
and some of them you light the fuse on them, it's just like gone. And then like some of them you light the fuse and you got that nice little tss, like the Mission Impossible that we're talking about today.
Yeah, exactly.
But that was our question that got answered. We really appreciate those answers. We got one from YouTube in reference to our Independence Day episode. Mike Everest 3601 writes, Ryan, remember lighting off fireworks on the old 18 bridge?
Yeah. I remember it, buddy. I remember it. That's one of my buds from high school.
Yeah, I remember it's a little personal shout out there.
Yeah.
Old 18 shooting off fireworks off the bridge. Oh, yeah. Dangerous. You rebel.
We do a lot of stuff with that bridge.
Yeah.
Good times, Mike.
Yeah.
Good times.
All right. So with that, let's get back to our question here. My question to you was, I'm going to refresh your memory here and refresh everybody else's memory because it's probably been about an hour. Would you rather always be late but have the perfect excuse, completely plausible, and never questioned every time? Or would you rather be on time everywhere you go, no matter how little time is left when you leave, but you can never just walk, jog, or run anywhere, be it down the street or just across the room? You always have to Tom Cruise run everywhere. Which would it be?
Oh, as much as I would think that it would be nice to be able to have an excuse to be late, I would have to do the promptness one, even if it means that I've got to run the Tom Cruise run. Mindy, my wife, could tell you that I am like a stickler for being somewhere on time. Like if I am on time, I'm late. And she's kind of the opposite. No, she's not kind of. She is the opposite. So that's a fun dynamic in our house. Yeah. But that's what I'd go with, and I'd work on perfecting that Tom Cruise run.
Well, you throw a couple kids in there, and that complicates things. I mean,
that does. Yes,
I've never been I wouldn't say I've always been a punctual person. I try to be there on time, try and be respectful of other people's time, but things get in the way, and I don't let that bother me too much. I'm pretty easy-going whenever it comes to that sort of thing. As long as you let me know what's going on, I'm okay with somebody being late. And as far as myself being late, it is what it is. I did the best I could, and I can live with myself, and I'm okay with that. My wife is a little more on the punctual side, preferring to be punctual, preferring not to be late. But again, a little more easygoing, not as stressed out about it. But we have two kids, and ever since we've had the 2 kids, we've been late for most things. They
same.
require a lot more time than you think to get ready and get out the door, and frequently will make you late to things that that are 5 minutes down the road, and you can be half an hour late because somebody forgot something or needs to do something or doesn't want to go, whatever the case may be. And we've learned to roll with that and deal with it. And so I think for me, it would be always have the perfect excuse, because I think we've got kids excuse is wearing thin on folks. So if I could come up with a better one, I would appreciate it very much. But yeah, I don't, totally I couldn't do the Tom Cruise run. That one, I couldn't, I would rather look like a late slob than a maniac running. That would be my call.
I think it'd be kind of fun.
Well, with that, I think we've answered the questions, and we look forward to seeing y'all next week. Join us for Jaws. Don't forget, you can email us at thispodcasttakestokens@gmail.com if you want to. Yeah.
Let us know what your answers are for the question. We'd love to hear it, and maybe we can. We'll get them read on the air. Love to hear from you, and we'll see you all next week.